So in this segment, we're going to be talking about this video, which the Byline Times have done, which is obviously a very good video because they don't miss. Where they talk more about the logistics problems and how kind of Brexit is putting more not just stresses on the lorry drivers, but also office staff and other kind of backroom people. Now, I'm not going to lie, the title of their video is very misleading. Lorry drivers who voted Brexit regret everything, which didn't really happen. There is also a quote in this video which people maybe have misunderstood. I could be wrong. Maybe I've misunderstood it, but they've been very unfair to some of the people in this video. So we're going to start by watching this and I'll kind of react to it as it goes on, like I normally do. So let's start the video.
So if you had like a message for Boris Johnson, what would you say to him?
Come and have a day in the life of a truck driver and then tell me that it's a good idea.
I like the little intro thing. I need one of those.
I just come back from up by Cambridge area with a load that's going to Italy. So I had to do all the T1 documents and custom documents on the way back down. So, I mean, I'm about an hour and a half behind where I would have been 18 months ago.
So you got an hour and a half delay. An hour and a half delay already. He's barely left, Cambridge, the place he was going from, Cambridgeshire, and he's already an hour and a half late because he's waiting for paperwork. That's grim. And, some of these guys get paid by the hour and some of them get paid by the mile, depending on what their contractual situation is. So it's possible that he wasn't even paid for the hour he was sitting around for because it's not his fault he's sat around. He's waiting for people to get their bit done, essentially.
Because I've spent the best part of an hour and a half today sat waiting for customs paperwork.
Because those backroom staff, which we'll get onto, are extremely stressed when you have customs agents turning down work because they're that busy.
So now, since Brexit, this is all the extra paperwork. You have the customs documents, and then the usual CMR. This is what you used to just have before, and then you have envelopes with invoices, envelopes with packing lists, envelopes, customs declarations, and all of that has to add up. And if one thing's wrong on any of that, they can't clear it.
And we don't actually know what he's carrying. If it's animal products, that I'm sure that'll be a much thicker stack of paper because we've seen some thick boy envelopes on the channel covering some of this stuff. So yeah, he hasn't mentioned anything about vet certificates and things. So I'm guessing he's not carrying anything like sort of animal based or certain plant products.
That's the end of that. Is to return to where it started.
He's got to take it all back. Or, and start again, really, if there's any problems, which is just, a massive waste of time. But, what else do you expect when you're a third country? If your paperwork doesn't check out, you're either stuck in the port or you got to go back. They're showing you two options, really.
Can you just explain what it was like pre-Brexit compared to what it is?
Oh, doddle. Amazing. So much fun. It's like driving, it's like being on a massive road trip holiday. You get to see places that no one else has ever seen, see things from angles that no one sees.
This man obviously enjoys the road trip aspect of it because he could just go through really easily, and now it's not the case.
I mean, we're here to drive, and we seem to be turning more into receptionists than drivers these days because you're just waiting for paperwork. Whereas before it was, right, you're picking up this load and you're going to here. That's it, 1,000 kilometres, off you go. You could be waiting for 5 minutes, you could be waiting for 5 hours, you could be waiting days. Personally, for me, I've waited 4.5 days for paperwork. Yeah.
And, he doesn't, depending on what the facilities are where he's staying, he might be just stuck, in his, the cab bit of the lorry for 4.5 days. That's insane, just sat around waiting for paperwork. And, who pays for that in the end? Or, maybe he doesn't get paid for it. The simple fact is this, this whole system is just not built to work. That's the main problem a lot of these people are having. 4.5 days is just madness.
We've lost about 6 staff in the space of 6 months. They just can't cope with the stresses, they can't cope with the new challenges.
And you could say, oh look, it's only lost 6 staff, but this doesn't look like a big operation. It's got quite a few, lorry cabs here, but I don't think this would be a huge operation. It's a limited company. And especially for them to interview the general manager, it might be rolling with 20, 30 staff maybe.
You know, the drivers obviously very frustrated, so they take the frustration out. Customers get frustrated, so they take it out on the office staff. You know, it's extremely challenging. You know, it's very difficult to do this job now. Before.
And you got to think, like, I know I'm pausing a lot, I'm sorry, but you know, if you're working in these offices, these back rooms where you have to get these customs paperworks and all these codes sorted out, why would you want to have a job where you just get moaned at by drivers, by customers? Why would you want that kind of stress, you know, and you just end up leaving and it causes more problems?
Brexit, we did have formalities that we used to have to complete, but nowhere near the challenges that we're facing now. I feel like we've been left to hang dry, really.
Because we told businesses to get ready for Brexit, but we never actually told them how to get ready for Brexit.
I had a customer of ours that came in this morning. He paid for some goods last September. He paid for his product in Italy. He's trying to import it into the UK, and at the moment he's having to wait for his paperwork to be sorted out. And he's basically pulling his, you know, his hair out because he doesn't know how to do it.
Now let's look at this, right? He's talking about last September. This was published February 21st this year, right? This video could have been done mid-February, but whatever the case is, this gentleman in Italy, or you know, in the UK, has waited 4 months to get his stuff in because the paperwork is so complex, and the customer, whoever it is, has struggled to get the papers sorted. And we don't know if it's, you know, it could be like olive oil or something like that, but it's taken over 4 months to get the paperwork sorted so that person can have whatever products they want into the UK. And where is the help from the government to help these people out?
I just feel like the government doesn't actually have a backbone to this. Obviously, we wanted Brexit, and they delivered Brexit. But
this is the bit where I think a lot of people had issues, because he says we wanted Brexit, and he's not talking about if we as in the company, we as in the country, you know, that sort of thing. Because if he said I wanted Brexit, that would be different. But a lot of people have, you know, kind of quoted this bit, we wanted Brexit, and kind of sort of mocked him a bit. And I think that's very unfair, because if you listen to it, right, he said we wanted Brexit, and that could be talking about the UK, which I think he is talking about.
obviously, we wanted Brexit, and they delivered Brexit. But actually, you would have thought that the ministers behind this would have made this as less painful for us as possible.
And that's the bit where I have an issue, because he's talking about the ministers, you know, saying, oh, they should have, you know, should have done more to help us. Like, what did you expect from this group of charlatans? Like, did you think they were going to help you? Like, the only people they help are themselves. Let's be real here. How much funding have these, you know, companies gotten to help them with hiring extra staff? None. I mean, that bit I have an issue with, but the bit where he says we voted for Brexit is yeah, that I think people have misunderstood that one.
Better check your recheck your oil, Luke. One of the biggest problems is disruptions, and that does take a huge toll on the workshop, because you know, we might have something booked in and planned, and then all of a sudden the plans are changed because of what's happening with the disruption, and it can cause problems with our whole weekly routine.
So look, that's the warehouse manager. So, you know, it could be the case that, you know, they're transporting goods for someone else in, right? And so they said, all right, look, we're going to get 30 pallets of whatever, you know, say olive oil, because that's on my mind now. 30 pallets of olive oil, we're going to get that in for you guys, and you're going to take it off us, and we're going to transport it to this place, right? And then what happens, the olive oil gets stuck at the Dover-Calais crossing, can't get into the UK, and that kind of plan is scuppered. And these are the sorts of things I think he could be talking about here when it comes to disruption.
With the paperwork, it's a long time. Just now, we wait, because we were two drivers, we wait 2 hours in Calais.
And you know, like, okay, like this gentleman, he's probably not, he might have a British passport, but he might also have an EU passport, and he could probably work for an EU company if he wanted to, where he could do routes within the EU and wouldn't face the problems he has now. Potentially, you know, I'm not sure what his nationality is. You know, maybe it's a bit racist that I've kind of just assumed. But point being is that, you know, some of these lorry drivers might just end up leaving because he's doing an international route, but if it's not worth his time, he might say, I'm only going to do UK domestic routes, or I'm just going to go, like, I'll just leave, because like him waiting at ports for multiple hours is rubbish. It's pointless, you know, especially if he's not getting paid for it.
We're waiting 2 hour and a half.
And this is during a quieter part of the year as well. You know, January, February, it's going to pick up from here. I don't think trade traffic will be as low as it is now, so that could be a 3 or 4 hour wait. So yeah, you know, I kind of draw a couple of issues with, especially with the title of this video, which is lorry drivers who voted Brexit regret everything, because they didn't cite any examples of any of these lorry drivers voting for Brexit and regretting it. The only bit they could say is this bit somewhere around here where the guy says we voted for Brexit. But again, like, I get annoyed at clickbait titles. I do my best not to do them, but I'm not going to shoot the Byline Times too much here, because without them I wouldn't have multiple videos that I've done. But yeah, support them, of course. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. Not much more to say really, apart from the fact that, you know, it's not just the lorry drivers who are suffering from this, it's also a lot of office staff as well, and they're going to get a lot of angry people because people's things have been delayed at the port, and if the paperwork isn't right, or if there's some sort of mistake or something's been misread or understood, who's going to get the blame for it? The office staff. And that gentleman at the start said, or in the middle said, we've lost 6 staff already. And I think he's hinting at losing 6 office staff, and it takes a while to train these people to do this stuff, to get you know, for them to get the paperwork sorted. You need a certain level of expertise, and the UK hasn't trained anyone to do this. Not really, not the government. They wanted the private sector to do this, and the private sector have struggled to do this. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. Support the Byline Times if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.